All right, what's up, y'all? My name is Evan Strong. Today is the 23rd of April, 2025. I just woke up a little bit ago, so I'm like waking up. But I'm the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, all four sides of us as a whole. I'll get into all four sides. We'll talk about where clothing sits, and then we'll get into talking about the discussion of this, which is that muscles only contract. Okay, that's the title of this video. Muscles can only shorten, and we live in a modern day, and there's things that are just like not letting that be the case that we wear, and clothing's placed physically on us. And this is the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. One of our fourths, we address the human body and its natural function. We come at it through the skeletal system. The only thing that doesn't change, the thing that has to stay, and it's only neutrals on an earth with gravity pulling it straight down: the trachea, the sternum, the spine, the nose, the jaw, which naturally stabilizes the entire body. All these things have to stay in the center of our body because there's feet that oppose the center, gripping arches inward, and there you go. All right, we place clothing onto us though as human beings, and it has to stay centered, fit correct, and ideally be made out of 100% natural materials because the human body's natural. And that's how we allow, keyword, the human body to work. And that's what In the Image Clothing Company clothing will be when it's available, if you'd like to purchase it. But we show free modifications in clothing to allow the body to work. We talk about standing, sitting, walking, eating, sleeping, hydration, just physical functions that we do as a physical mechanical machine placed on a rock in space. And there you go. We talk about the truth of why we're actually in pain as human beings and just not allowed to function because there's something happening if things aren't allowed to do what they're supposed to do, because the body's designed to work. So there's another fourth of us, which is In the Image Clothing Company podcast, and we get into really deep, bold, blunt, raw, real discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, aka the truth of all things. It's not some religious place to try to believe in, but we live on the same earth, all of us here, and what's going on, and let's talk about it. And we do, and we've had 108 episodes as of last night of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, and that's what we do talk about. So one other fourth is In the Image Clothing Company music. I address sizings and setups of guitars, to allow the human body to work, because the hands are essentially the shoulders, as the feet are essentially the hips, so we can't be altering our hands playing guitars. I'm a fingerstyle guitarist. There's a lot of motion happening in that. Okay, so another fourth is In the Image Clothing Company dogs. We do similar to what we do with humans. The slogan is letting dogs stay natural. There's so much unnatural nowadays, and that's what we're going to talk about within this video for the sake of what this one's actually about. In human being clothing, but in dog accessories, collars, leashes, harnesses, there's imbalances, there's unnatural materials that dogs are basically just eating in toys and stuff. Dehydrated kibble, unnatural, right? So we talk about those things over there, and we will have collars and leashes available as well, similar to In the Image Clothing Company clothing, with what's the reason behind it: 100% natural materials, and limiting all the restriction we can to our dogs, all right? Also, me personally, Evan Strong, I will be breeding standard poodles, purebreds, so that will come on that fourth of the side of us as well, okay? Clothing for everybody. It has to sit in the same location. The body just has to work, dude, on an earth with, laws that we didn't decide, like gravity. Pants need to be entirely above the hips, slightly higher in the front than the rear, because that way there's no restriction to the pelvis and the core muscles can stay activated. Yikes. Man, woman, tall, short, skinny, fat, any age, any part of the earth, any time period to ever be, it's the same where clothing sits. I started choking up. I don't know if I'm leaving something out or if it's some other reason. I'm literally like, and this happens, right? If you've seen past episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, I don't know for sure what that's about. But I think the big thing is the core here, it has to get shorter, right? Well, that's the whole topic, yeah? Muscles only contract. So the angle has to be to where the muscles can. I mean, yeah, we don't know what we don't know, and we tell you here the truth. So the tops that we wear, though, the seams on top of our shoulders need to be evenly behind these bones on the peak, because our shoulders only ever work behind our head, okay? The edge seams of our tops should be right at the edges of our shoulders. That's just where the functionality is. Two things we have as prerequisites under In The Image Clothing Company to not restrict the body. They're conditional. There's not always ropes in shoes. There's not always tags in clothing. Ropes in shoes we call laces. There's only one way to weave it, across the top of the human foot, and shape it the way that that is mechanically going to work. All right? Ideally round laces, ideally no give. Yeah, we tie our shoes evenly over toward the center line of the human being that has to be there, because it just is. And then secondly, we remove all tags from clothing. Yeah. Anywhere there's a tag placed in clothing, it's causing a gap, changing the body's only workings, and or just not allowing musculature to activate. And then you've got damage happening to the entire body. It can't compensate because it's all together. So it has to either work or it's just not working. So, yes. In The Image Clothing Company, 5 words as a whole. Go find our shoelacing technique, right? For that first prerequisite. So, muscles only contract. The title. The truth. Here's the thing. When we have stretch within clothing, it's something that's new, by the way. And I talk about that, but just decades back from today's date, there was no such thing as stretchy clothing. It didn't exist because you can't have stretch. Really? I mean, right? Pretty much can't have stretch unless you have these unnatural materials that are woven together and they can stretch. But the muscles don't. Muscles only shorten, right? Yeah, so what happens often is people can't sleep, and it's because they're within stretchy clothing. And when you breathe, your rib cage expands, ideally in 360 degrees, which just means all the way around, and then it contracts again, okay? And the thing with that, right, is muscles only contract. So what's causing your ribs to expand is actually muscles down here in your diaphragms, those are the muscles, right, contracting, which then allows space to open up inside the body, and then you just have breath happening. We don't actually breathe air in. We can't like suck air in. Muscles contract, which opens an area in the body, meaning our lungs, and then the difference in pressures of air cause air to just go into the body because it's filling that empty space, and then it comes back out. So we don't actually expand anything to breathe in. Muscles contract to like pull open an area, if that can be said that way, because that's what's happening. So muscles only ever contract. And the point is, with sleeping, if you're in stretchy clothing, your muscles are trying to just work, and you're laying against like the back of your shirt that's stretching away into nothing, right? I'm actually gonna fall a little bit. I was gonna pretend to fall, but I had to step back. You can't sleep because you won't be able to breathe if you're wearing stretchy clothing, okay? Muscles only contract when we sit down, right? Sometimes we're in pants that have some stretch to them. Wind noise, I get it. Raw, real, all right? In The Image Clothing Company. If you sit down though, and you have stretch in the rear of your pants, your glutes, which there's multiple, right? Glute medius, glute max, glutes, right? There's a lot of glutes. And not only the glutes, but the glutes work in conjunction with the hamstrings. And yeah, everything just works together in the body. If you sit against something and your pants stretch, when your muscles need to contract, okay, the body's only neutrals, right? Stretchy pants, not stretchy pants, right? Meaning stretchy pants don't allow your muscles to work. And that's happening so often. I used to wear what we would call gym shorts, like you know, shorts that are just made out of this fake material. And they're appealing in ways. Clothing like that is, in some cases, because it's wicking of water and sweat, right? It doesn't absorb things, and it can be really light, but it's fake. It's made out of oil. That's what polyester is, and it stretches. So muscles can only contract. And so when I talk about how we don't need to work out as a human being, we don't. The body, as I said earlier, is designed to work. There'd be no reason that it couldn't unless there was a reason that it couldn't, okay? And a lot of people are in states of being where their body isn't very well being a human. And that's how I was for so many years. But we don't think about things sometimes like even our undergarments, if they're stretched within that. You've got some nice, good 100% cotton pants, for example, like these ones I'm wearing, as far as I know, unless they're like 98% cotton and 2% something that's been pumped out of the earth, right? Oil. But yeah, I think they're 100% cotton. Very close if not. The point is, even if you do, you've got undergarments, let's say, that are stretchy. Now there's a weird clash that's even almost, you know, almost harder for your body to predict in ways. It's just different because now your undergarments are stretching, right, when you sit down, but then your pants don't, and so your muscles are just not knowing what to do, and all they can ever do is shorten. And so then your body's getting stiff and sore, and you haven't done anything, right? Meaning you wouldn't have had to for those things to happen, because you are doing something that you're just maybe not aware of. You're wearing clothing that your body cannot nor will ever be able to work within. Okay, Evan Strong in the past, this guy speaking. So yeah, muscles only ever shorten, only ever. And the thing with that though as well is a lot of times we're resting our arms on something. Doesn't work, dude. You can't rest the body. It weakens it, right? There's a video I made last fall in 2024 titled Rest Weakens the Body, because it does. Because it does only ever work as a whole. If something's just not playing its role by quote unquote resting, then something else has to try to take over. It's like you're watching a play and somebody doesn't show up for the part. The play doesn't work. And that's how the body reacts to that happening as well. A duck. Yeah, so muscles only ever contract. And that's just the thing to know, because anytime there's ever any stretch in clothing, your body will not work. And not only in that one location, like stretchy shoelaces, let's say, it's not only that your feet could maybe be a little bit more fatigued or something, but no, your feet just can't work, period. And then they're the foundation of your entire body, and now your body up here at the tips of your fingers and the tip of your head doesn't work either, okay? But even shoe soles that are squishy, arches in our feet, meaning all the musculature that allows the feet to grip arches, if they're placed onto shoe soles that stretch or just like squish, right, which is essentially stretching away from you, then your feet arches just can't grip. We need very stiff shoe soles. Well, pliable, maybe, ideally, right? Like barefoot type style shoes that aren't too wide for the feet, right? But yeah, it's very stiff as far as no give, no squish or weird movement in the sole of our shoes that our feet can't predict, because then they can't work, because they're trying to grip arches, shortening muscles, and you're standing on a marshmallow that squishes away, like sitting on pants that stretch, okay? Like sleeping against a shirt that stretches, okay? Like reaching with a shirt that stretches, okay? Anything that ever stretches in the body, it doesn't. Meaning anything that's placed onto the body that has stretched, the body can't work because it doesn't stretch. It works best closest to its center line, where it is, meaning there is one. It's the spine. It doesn't matter what your body looks like, or if you're imbalanced in some way because you have an amputated arm, you still have a center line because you still have a spine. If you don't have a spine, you're probably not even alive as a human being, right? It's where your nervous system stems out from, coming from your brain. I mean, there's no getting around the only way the human body works, okay? So that's why In The Image Clothing Company speaks as bold as we do, but that's also how everything that we talk about, as long as it's, valid, is valid. And that's funny, but right, truth is truth, and there's only one way the body works. We didn't design it, so we can't decide it. There's an episode of In The Image Clothing Company podcast titled that. And what we do here is just show how it really works. The only way that it ever will, we make content like this video here that can apply to human beings for literally ever, because the body's just what it is, a mechanical machine. So, muscles only ever contract, ever, period, and done, okay, ever. And we talk about stretching and how it will never help you. And that sounds crazy to say to some human beings, even me in the past. If I were to have heard that, I'd be like, what are you talking about? My muscles are tight. Yeah, they are, but everything just has to play its role, and if something isn't, then something else just is chronically shortening because maybe something else is chronically stretching. Do you see what I mean? If you don't, stick around for In The Image Clothing Company content. We discuss things as they are, and what we discuss here, like I was just saying, will never change. No opinion that I could have. There's also an episode of In The Image Clothing Company podcast titled that. So, thank you. Like I said, In The Image Clothing Company clothing, when and if you'd like, do all you can to get it in your size. That's the whole point. Other than the natural materials and staying centered, that's the other third of the things that we say that then allows the human body to work. So, right, oversized clothing in itself is such a damaging imbalance. You have no say on what you like to be able to wear oversized clothing without chronic problems within your body that then persist because scar tissue gets built up, okay? So, thank you. In The Image Clothing Company. Check out the other 3 sides. And, yeah, dogs, right? It's gonna be awesome for me personally, and then everybody else who cares about dogs at all, or has a dog and wants information on how to help your dog, man, because there's a lot going on nowadays, as there is in the life of human beings. It's not our faults, but it's just the man-made world placed onto our earth, okay? And the human being is always natural, and we can't mesh with things that aren't. And we're kind of like quote-unquote forced to a degree in modern day, okay? So, muscles only ever contract. I'll do a video, and it might be right after this, but sometime, and if I don't, then hey, sorry, don't hold me to it, but we'll do a video titled, right, probably, opposing muscles, or something similar to that, but that's probably what the title will be, because that's the whole thing, is a muscle has to contract, and that means the opposite one has to elongate, okay? Contract, elongate, and that'll be a whole video because there's a lot to go through with the human body, because everything has an opposition when it comes to a center, okay? And gravity, meaning either jumping or being pulled down, right? There's opposition in all things. The gospel of Jesus Christ, it's the truth of all things. There's no opinion, no belief, no religion, but God made us and this place that we're at and on. And yesterday was Earth Day. So today's the 23rd of April 2025. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. Thank you. Goodbye.